It's Tuesday, August 16th, 2016. And this is WorthPoint Chats with Harry Rinker. I'm Greg Watkins, the editor at WorthPoint.com. And here's Harry Rinker. Hey, Harry. Welcome to Prime Time again.
Well, I'm doing fine here. Everything is moving along very nicely out there. Summer, it's going by fast.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it really is kind of strange. Of course, summer doesn't end until, what is it, September 21st. But
yeah, something like that.
But the problem is you put the kids back in school and summer's ended.
Right. In Georgia here, we've been in for a week and a half.
You're back in school already in Georgia.
That's right. Week and a half we've been in it.
I'm really amazed by that. Is this across the state?
Yeah, mostly. The thing is, they end class in early May, and they throw in a couple of weeks off in September and March.
Yeah, but this got it. I always thought Georgia was a semi-tourist place. Here in Michigan, the state has passed a law that the kids don't have to back or cannot go back to school until after the Tuesday after Labor Day, because they want the kids loose to work in the tourist industries. Some places can file for exemptions, but not too many. Well, anyway,
that's not here.
You're not caught up in this new Pokemon crap. Stuff, are you?
I'm not. My kids are.
No.
Yeah, afraid so.
Well, it certainly has up the stock of that company. I'll say that for it.
That's true.
But I see this and you start to see. I already see the camps dividing on it between those who say this will last and this will go away. Okay, I remember when Beanie Babies were around. I was the Beanie Meanie.
Right. We all remember that.
I was the guy that got on the air and said, "This too shall pass." Okay, and yet on the other hand, some very reputable people in the trade are out there touting this darn thing. Heritage Gallery, for whom I have a lot of respect, down in Dallas, has issued this announcement. You have to blow it up. I can't read it from where I am, but they're saying that this thing has led to a revived interest in Pokemon cards, right?
Yes, so much that Heritage has got a couple of people on hand to value your cards.
Well, it says eBay's vintage cards have doubled since the app's debut. Now, I have to tell you what, I need proof before I accept that statement. I really do. Are you telling me every vintage Pokemon card is doubled? Does that mean some of them are worth 2 cents instead of a penny? I don't see a lot of them up at auction bringing big bucks. Although here's what it says: vintage trading cards are being traded for upwards of $100,000. And it says a Pokemon card. What was the other one? A Pokemon card spanned 2 generations, the 1990s, and they're likely worth a few $100s. Well, let me tell you. I have an interesting rule in the trade. You've probably never heard about it, but it's called the Rinker 3 price guide rule. Have you ever heard of that one?
I think I have. I think I've read about it.
Yeah, well, the Rinker 3 price guide rules, it says by the time you have 3 price guides, the craze is starting to get over. But I decided what I would do before we got tonight is I would go up on the internet and see about Pokemon card price guides, right?
Right.
And there was one in 1999 and several in 2000. But guess what?
Nothing since.
None of them have been updated. Now, come on, 16 years plus without a major printed price guide. You're trying to convince me that this card market's coming back? Get a life, say I. On the other hand, you can manipulate a market. You can drive a market, and you get enough publicity out there, and sooner or later you're going to get enough nuts believe in this stuff. So one of the things is I went up on eBay, right?
Right.
And eBay's got just like those silly damn Disney classic videos that are supposed to be worth $10,000. Some idiot posted this big expose on eBay about how all these Pokemon cards are worth all this money. And then you can go up on the internet and find these lists, top 10 most valuable Pokemon cards. And I'm thinking to myself, how much of this is true and how much of this is market manipulation? Now, the thing about it was that there apparently are some cards, some very rare early cards, and one recently sold on eBay for over $100,000. Now, you actually have that in the Worthopedia, right?
That's right. We have some cards that come up that are pretty pricey.
Yeah, but the thing about it is that nobody tells you that only 4 of those cards are known to exist, okay? Theoretically. But we also know what happens, too. It doesn't pay to look through your Pokemon cards if they're worth 10 cents, but if there's a possibility of a $100,000 card, everybody's going to be looking through them. And my guess is there's going to be a lot more than 4 known in a very brief period of time, and the market's going to go down. But then there's a gal in England. Are you ready for this? She has 18,000 Pokemon cards.
Yeah, look to her.
I laugh too. I mean, seriously. I mean, come on, get a life. You know what this reminds me of? Pongs. Remember Pongs?
Pogs?
Pogs, right?
Yes,
yeah, Pogs.
the milk cap
right?
paper card. Yeah.
There were price guides of those. The market just got flooded, and boom, it's there. Now we're going to talk about this in a totally different context later in this chat. But meanwhile, back at the ranch, I am pleased to say that I do not have the Pokemon Mini. You have one of your advisors that's taking on that role.
Well, yes. I don't know if he's really a meanie, but he's not really buying into the cards.
He's not waving the flag. He's not waving the flag here.
No.
Right?
But he does have something else to say, which is that...
What does he have to say?
Well, according to his research, the Pokemon Go will soon have tradable digital assets. So if you capture a Pokemon, you might be able to sell it to somebody.
Yeah, well, let me tell you this much. The smart people will be the sellers and the dumb people will be the buyers.
Right.
In my opinion.
It will only last for a certain amount of time, and you've got to dump your stuff while you can.
And this is one of the things, too, that, especially given who I am and what I do in the trade, you need a sense of historical perspective. Now, I've been very fortunate because when I set up Rinker Enterprises, my goal was to track the trade from the time I started, which was in 1981, 82, but then to go back and study the trade all the way back into the teens and the 20s and the 30s. And so I have almost a century's worth of perspective. And when you look at what's come and gone in this trade, and you sit there and you say, oh, Pokemon Go, 10 years from now, who will care? Digital images 10 years from now, who will care? No, but during the 1990s, there was this big surge in prices in the trade, and then there was a temporary collapse at the end of the 80s. I was one of the first people to write about it, but there was a feeling in the trade. There always is a feeling in the trade. I think generational-wise, a new generation comes along and they forget about it. There's always a price at which something will sell. Well, the actual truth is there's always a price at something will not sell. And so what happens if you're the guy that pays the highest price for something ever, and the market collapses, who's the winner? The person that has your cash or you? And the answer is the person who has your cash.
Right.
And so this is getting extremely risky. And what you see is literally speculation going on here. All right? But the thing about these Pokemon Go things, there's so many of them, how could you possibly even collect anywhere near a tenth of them? I mean, these are not future collectibles. And I'm going to tell you what, if we have a power shortage, they'll be worthless.
That's right. Some EMP bomb goes off, and then...
Yes, that's right. That's right. So let's... I enjoyed reading that piece that you sent me from the WorthPoint Advisor. How do people find that one, Greg?
The WorthPoint Insider is our newsletter. It goes out twice a week. And if you go to any article page on WorthPoint...
Twice a week or twice a month?
Twice a month. I'm sorry, I misspoke.
Yeah, I was going to say, because I'm getting it now, and I'm not getting it there twice a week. Something's going on here, buddy. No,
Right.
twice a month.
So if you go to any article page on WorthPoint.com, there's a place for you to sign up for the newsletter.
Yeah. And was that an article in the newsletter?
It was, yes.
And how do they get to the back articles?
Well, all the articles are on WorthPoint.com under the news and information tab.
Oh, all right. There you go. And do we want to just throw that article up there to tell people where to look again?
Yeah, let me pull it back up here.
Yeah, there you go. Well, because, I mean, one good thing about the nets, a lot of this stuff is going to get saved a lot longer than it has in the past. And there you are. There's the article by Michael Barnes, right?
Right.
Well, it's just recently, October 1st newsletter. So maybe it's well worth listening in that. So anyway, so much for Pokemon. If all else fails, like with books, you can always burn them for one last use, but we won't go there at all.
Just keep yourself warm.
Yes, you can. So anyway, we got an interesting object question from one of our viewers of WorthPoint Chats with Harry Rinker this time, and a fun piece. Let's get it up here. It looks like an Eastlake table, right?
Right.
And this came in from, let me see here, let me get the information. It came in from Sue Waite down in Plainsville, Ohio. She says, I found this Eastlake table at an estate sale, and it's not what it appears to be. What could it be, you might ask? Well, the table is made of cherry wood and converts into a writing desk. Under each side of the rectangular top, it has two springs. You're rushing ahead of me here. It converts into has two spring latches. Unlatching the top, it tilts lengthwise up to a perfectly balanced standing position. There's a compartment in the base to hold the ink bottle and a hidden key that unlocks the drop-down board, revealing a felt writing surface. All right, there it is, right? It stands 30 feet tall, closed, 20 1/4 inches wide, 20 1/2 inches long. Now, the next line, however, of Sue's question threw me for a loop. You ready for it? It said, did Eastlake make many more of these convertible tables, or was this some kind of a special order? Well, here's the answer. Mr. Eastlake didn't make any tables. Mr. Eastlake wrote a book. And he wrote a book about the need to return to simplicity in cabinet making, to get away from the Rococo and naturalistic and Renaissance revival Victorian furniture. The goal was to get back into good old basic furniture. And he was an Englishman, and he came over to the United States. Now, my guess is that this table was made in the U.S. Where I would have loved to have her tell me that it was marked. I would seriously have loved to have her tell me it was marked. Now, the thing about it is, it's in the Eastlake style. Let's go back to that first picture here, because we can talk a little bit about what makes something into an Eastlake style. Eastlake style was more like you went down to the lumber yard and you got some wood and you built the thing. It's very basic, rectangular top. It's instead of real fancy carving. If you blow up the carving there on the top of the desk as it's folded down, you can see it there. It has that incised line carving, which is very typical of Eastlake. And now drop down to the feet. And what the feet really look like are like cutout boards. These are known as butterfly feet. They look like a board has been cut out and then has some incised lines. There's some turning in the center, but not a lot of it. Supposedly, it's representative of a desk that could have been made by an ordinary craftsman in a small town. Well, it's really more elaborate than this. Now, first of all, this desk is a factory product. There's no question about it. It was made in the factory, and most likely in the U.S., and most likely in the Midwest, maybe even Grand Rapids. But it's not one of a kind, and I know that because I went up on a website and found another one. And apparently, Fred Taylor, in his book Furniture Detective, wrote about a similar desk. Now, I don't have Fred's book, so I can't attest to that. But it's referred to. But on a website called COZVO.com, I found another description just exactly like this one. On each side of the rectangular top, you'll find two spring-loaded lathes. Unlatching the top, it tilts lengthwise up to a standing position. You would think that the table would fall backward, but it's amazingly, it is perfectly balanced in the upright condition. It can stand 3 inches away from the wall and still open without touching the wall. A marvel in design. After you've tilted the top up, you'll find a compartment in the base to hold an ink bottle, a hidden key, and a drop-down board under the tabletop. Using the key unlocks the drop-down board, reveals a gilded edge felt writing surface, which is on its side. I mean, it goes on. It's exact description of the piece that we're looking at, and the person that valued it at $850. The difficulty is that I tried to go onto this site and found out who this person is that evaluated for $850, or maybe it's the one from Fred's book. I have no idea, but $850 seems about right to me. I don't think it's $1,000 disc, but boy, it's $1,000 curiosity. So, you know, between $750 and $900, $850 doesn't seem bad for me. It's better than $500, that I'll tell you. And so here it is. But I think it's one of those. I mean, if I had found this, like she did, I mean, she said at an estate sale, geez, at an estate sale, my guess, she didn't pay more than $200-300 for it.
Oh, it's a very cool piece.
Yeah, it is. Well, it's just it's you know it falls into this really category of things I have called neat things.
Neat things.
Yes,
that's your official term.
That is. I've written columns about neat things. No, haven't you ever gone into a mall or a show or shop and just saw something and said, "That's neat"?
Oh, I'm always finding neat things.
No. But I mean, no. I know you can always find neat things, but I'm talking about really, really neat. I had a collection of them back at Veracruz when I had the school there. They all got sold in the auction of things I left behind. I couldn't bring them all out here. But I had this wonderful table lamp made out of coconut fronds, coconut tree fronds, you know, leaves and stuff. That was just neat. Of course, I had some other neat things we can't talk about in the air, but we won't go there. Anyway, no, that was kind of a fun thing. Well, let's see, what else do we have? We have, you know, is there justice in the world? I ask you. And the answer is yes. A museum in Nuremberg, Germany, had a painting by, supposedly worth close to $100,000, had a painting by an abstract Danish artist by the known name of Arthur Koepke or something like that, Koepcke, and it was a painting of a crossword puzzle. This is not the painting, but it was a painting of a crossword puzzle, right?
Right.
And it was hung on the wall with a sign that said, "Insert words here," right?
I can see where this goes.
Can you see where this is? God bless this little 91-year-old gray-haired German woman came by and seeing this, but why not? And so she filled it in with her ballpoint pen. Yes. And the work was titled Reading Work Pieces number 32-32 plus 124, whatever that means. Anyway, she filled it in before they could stop her, and apparently got most of it. Now, I don't know how she did it if she didn't have any clues what words had to go in there, but she found words that fit in there.
Well, you knew she was confident when she filled it in with pen.
Yes, she knew what she was doing. There's no question. Well, the police came and arrested her. You know, and what could the woman say? She said, "I just follow the instructions of the stupid sign." Right? So there it is, right? So now the museum claims that they can. Well, thank God she did it with a ballpoint pen instead of a regular pen, right?
Or a magic marker.
Or a magic marker. No, magic marker would have probably been okay, but apparently they can get it off and save the painting. The owner of the painting took it well, so the story goes, and what have you. Now, my attitude is he probably paid her to fill it in because the painting is probably quadrupled in value now that it has gone through this story.
That's right. It's world famous now.
But anyway, here you are in the realm of dumb things that have happened in museums. You didn't know I was going here, right?
No.
In June 2016, like this summer, right?
Right.
A child destroyed a $12,000 Lego statue within hours of it going on display, despite the no-touch sign at a museum.
I think I remember that. There
Yes.
was a spate of museum disasters
Yes.
involving kids and things.
Now, in 2015, now this is where I really have to say that I am in total love with this. In 2015, cleaners at a museum in Italy, and you know what? Only in Italy, right? Cleaned up, going through the museum one night, a mess of cigar butts and empty bottles that turned out to be one of the exhibits. Okay, now, you remember last week we were talking about abstract, about different novels and so forth written about the antique, so forth.
Right, your summer reads.
My summer reads, right? And one of them was a book by the name of, done by my friend out of now. I'm going to get really mad at myself that I can't think of his name off the top of my head. But it's called The Seattle Surprise by a Vancouver dealer, and I will get that up in a minute. But in there, he had a quote by Al Cap about abstract art. You know, the pile of cigarette butts and the bottles on the floor. You ready for this?
Okay.
And I have to tell you, I am eternally grateful to him for sharing that quote with me. All right, seriously. Because are you ready for what Al Cap, you know who Al Cap was, right? He was
the cartoonist?
Yeah, for Little Abner, right?
Right.
All right, Al Cap said, in referring to abstract art, a product of the untalented sold by the utterly bewildered.
That's right.
I do not. I am going to memorize that. I am absolutely going to memorize that. I do not think there is a better description of abstract art than that. I really, really, really have to say that that is the case. All right? But anyway, we've got a thing up on the screen there. Do you have it up on the screen there?
The email address?
Yes, if people would like to write. So why don't you tell people how they do that while I run over and get that book?
Okay. If you have an item that you'd like Harry to look at and review, or if you just have a question about something going on in the arts and antiques community, trending news, anything like that, send us an email to community@worthpoint.com, and we'll work really hard to get it up on one of the future shows.
Yes, and by the way, the author of the book, The Seattle Surprise, is Robin Williams. He is an antique dealer in Vancouver, British Columbia, and his email is, his website is hampshireantiques.com, and you can order the book from them. But I will be forever grateful for him to explain the truth about abstract art from Al Cap's point of view, which I totally agree with. Are you ready, though?
I'm ready.
All right. In 2006, a visitor to the Fitzwilliam Museum in Cambridge, England, tripped over his shoelaces and destroyed three 300-year-old Chinese Qing Dynasty vases. What can you say?
Oops.
Yep, you could say oops. Right, exactly. Well, there are other such stories, but we won't go into them. But we had another interesting object that came in, and you know I love doing research works about objects. We got a person that asked us about an old phonograph, right?
Right.
Called a Vitanola. But now, not RCA, you know, the common ones are RCA, Columbia, Brunswick, and other ones. Here is the machine, all right? And here you can see Vitanola on there, and it's in playable condition. Got that kind of veneered cabinet, that nice little framework. Actually, the company was located in Chicago. As a matter of fact, I did some work on this. And there is a wonderful website, and I think one of the fun things about all this is sharing websites. Antiquephono.org, ANTIQUE PHONO.org. If you have to look up an old record player or phonograph in this case, that's the thing. Now, the nice thing about it was that he was able to send me a copy of the metal tag for it, which I think we have a photo of it. Do we not?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, there we go. The Vitanola Talking Machine Company, Chicago, Illinois. There it is. Patented June 26, 1917, November 13, 1917. Well, and by the way, this once belonged to a gentleman named Rusty Goodman, who was a member of the Happy Goodman's Gospel Group. Now, I tell you that because you might ask, who are they? And so would 1,000 out of 1,000 other people, too, probably ask that. And so this is one of the cases where provenance means nothing in terms of value. No.
Well, we're glad that Happy enjoyed this.
I'm not going to pay a 0.5% premium, forget a 10% premium, because it once belonged to Rusty Goodman of the Happy Goodman's Gospel Group. Are you? No.
I don't think it's got any more oomph to it because I know that.
No, it does not. Now, it's very interesting. You know, we talk about the market being flooded like they did with Beanie Babies and all the rest of this type of stuff, right?
Right.
Well, if you do research on record players, what happened was around 1915 or so, the patents that Edison had and Columbia and all the big companies had to record players expired. And so hundreds of companies came forward. In 1920, there were over 200 phonograph manufacturers in the United States. And these things were not cheap. An ad for this company that's on antiquephono.org, there's an article by a guy named J.W. Wakeman called Off-Brand Talking Machines, shows this machine model selling from $25 to $175, right?
Yes.
But now, as Paul Harvey would say, for the rest of the story, right? What you don't know is that by 1920, the market was flooded. They were making more phonographs than people were able to buy. Then there was supply. Then there was demand. They made so many photographs, all these different companies. And then there was a slight recession in the early 1920s when phonograph makers had to cut the prices by anywhere from 50 to 75%, even by the big companies. And once the big companies started doing that, the small companies went out of business. All right. Now, these knockoff, I want to say knockoff phonographs because they were not knockoff phonographs, but they had a lot of things in common, actually. One, interesting enough, they had reproducers that could be turned to play horizontal or laterally. I mean, you could turn the record up like this and play it, or you could have it down like that and play it, which was interesting. They had poorly tapered tone arms because RCA had a patent on the taper of the tone arm, so they had to taper it differently so it didn't sound all that well. And they had veneer cabinet. What happens is that most of these weren't even made by the manufacturer. The manufacturer bought cases from furniture makers like the ones in Grand Rapids, and they bought parts from parts houses. Well, anyway, what is this man's thing worth? So I found an auction, 2015, early auction. They sold one for $250. In 2007, before the recession, right? Mm-hmm. Well, the phonograph market tanked in 2008, 2009. The Japanese were buying them. They were shipping over by the plane load at one point. And then the market went south. Well, so I'm figuring, okay, $250, $300, it's not a bad price. But in 2014, someone sold one for $530. So, now all of a sudden, has the market recovered? I doubt it. Nowhere that I've seen any other than this one. I don't know why. This is one of the problems when you're analyzing auction prices. You've got to try to figure out who the buyers are and why this thing went. Was it two family members that locked horns and just had to have it, or whatever reason? But today, I would think the machine has a value between $350 and $400, maybe. I mean, phonographs are old cells. I had one at the school and I left it behind, and I don't think it brought more than $85 at auctions, and I paid more than that for it, actually. But it was all right. It's okay. But anyway, not all things go up in value over time.
Yeah, we know that.
That's for sure. Well, we've again wasted another perfectly good night to borrow the talk from the Car Talk guys. But before we go, what's going on at WorthPoint?
Well, WorthPoint, we still have our second sweepstakes going on. The first one was
still trying to get himself down to Mexico, is he?
That's right. That's right. So the first one was a trip to France. This one is a trip to Mexico City with WorthPoint CEO, founder, Will Seipel. There are 20 days left to sign up, and then the trip is going to happen pretty quick because it's scheduled for October 14th to 17th.
Hey, wait a minute. Did Will go to Lily?
Yeah.
Well, how comes he's not coming on our show to talk about that?
Well, we'll have to book him.
Well, we'll have to do something with him. Booking him may be a loose term here. Well, no, I think we should get Will to come on.
I think we can do that. We'll work on that for next week or the week after.
We live in a global world. We really do. And
yes.
I don't know. Can we put 3 people on this chat simultaneously?
Yes.
Well, Mr. Will, we got to get Mr. Will on board here.
That's right.
So I want to hear about that trip. I really do. Well, all right.
I think it would be fun. But
I do too.
To sign up for the new sweepstake, go to the WorthPoint Facebook page, and you'll see the photograph that looks like this one we're showing right now, and it'll take you to a site to sign up.
All right. What else? What else is happening? Oh, I did hear from Will. They're possibly going out with this crowd-funded proposal, hopefully getting approval sometime in September or October.
That's right. They're working on all the paperwork, and they've got a lot of legal hoops to jump through.
Yeah,
but,
now we got to get Will on too. Will wrote and told me that he's recently bought some Hollywood memorabilia stuff, and the state's been selling it off. So we'll have to see what's going on.
We'll get Will on here as soon as we can.
We can suggest him. He might take pictures of some of this stuff and send it to us too.
Right.
Yeah. Well, anyway, enough of all of that. Hey, let's go back one more time. We need emails from people with questions about the antiques and collectibles trade, about objects. Now, remember, if you're going to send us a question about an object, give us a lot of information about it. Photographs, the biggest help of all. Wish I could convince Will of that. But anyway, the address is community@worthpoint.com. That's just as it sounds, community@worthpoint.com. And get it out to us, and we'll get to it here on the air. Well, Greg, good talking with you again.
Yes, it's been fun, Harry. Very informative. I love that Eastlake table.
Yes, a neat thing for sure.
Yeah, and
we probably added $100 to its value just by talking about it on the air.
That's true. And don't take any wooden Pokemon cards.
Yes, that's for sure too. In fact, don't take any at all. I don't care what they tell you.
Okay. All right. Well, for this week, that'll do it, and we'll see you next Tuesday. Are we going to do?
Yeah,
Tuesday.
Next Tuesday. Okay. Tuesdays through the end of this month, and then I think we'll switch to Thursdays. I think was our game plan.
That sounds right. Okay, for this week, that's WorthPoint Chats with Harry Rinker. Goodbye, Harry.
Goodbye.